Solder. It's one of those materials you probably don't think about unless you're knee-deep in electronics or plumbing. But behind that shiny metal wire lies an interesting blend of chemistry, metallurgy, and industrial precision. In this video, we're diving deep into how solder is made, from raw materials to the finished product that joins components on a circuit board or seals a pipe. Whether you're a maker, a tradesperson, or just curious about how the modern world sticks together, stick around, because this is going to be a fascinating ride. Let's explore, right here, on History of Simple Things. To start, let's talk about what solder actually is. At its core, solder is a fusible metal alloy. It's designed to melt at relatively low temperatures compared to the metals it's used to join. When heated, it liquefies, flows between metal parts, and solidifies to form a conductive mechanical bond. There are different types of solder for different jobs, but broadly speaking, solder can be categorized into two groups: soft solder, used for electronics and delicate metalwork, and hard solder, also called brazing, which is used for heavier-duty jobs like plumbing or metal fabrication. The type of solder most people are familiar with, especially in electronics, is soft solder, traditionally made from a mixture of tin and lead. Though in modern times, especially with health and environmental concerns, many solders are now lead-free, often replacing lead with metals like silver, copper, or bismuth. So, how does solder go from raw ore to that shiny spool you pick up at the hardware store? The process begins with the mining and refining of metals, primarily tin and lead, or in the case of lead-free solder, tin combined with elements like copper, silver, or antimony. Tin is usually extracted from the ore cassiterite, which is a tin oxide. This ore is crushed, concentrated, and then smelted in a furnace to remove the oxygen and produce pure tin metal. The process involves heating the ore to high temperatures in the presence of carbon, which bonds with the oxygen and leaves behind molten tin. This molten tin is then poured into molds, cooled, and later shipped off for further processing. Lead, historically used in solder due to its low melting point and ease of flow, is extracted from galena, a lead sulfide ore. The refining process involves roasting the ore in the presence of oxygen to convert it into lead oxide, then smelting it with carbon to reduce it to metallic lead. In modern lead-free solder production, this step is often skipped, and manufacturers work with other metals. The refined tin and lead, or tin and other alloying elements, are then transported to a solder manufacturing facility. Here's where things get really interesting. At the factory, the metals are weighed in precise ratios according to the desired alloy composition. For example, the classic 60-40th solder, that's 60% tin and 40% lead, is mixed accordingly. The metals are loaded into a large induction furnace, which uses electromagnetic fields to heat and melt the metals without direct contact. As the metals melt and combine, technicians monitor temperature and composition carefully to ensure uniformity. This molten alloy is kept at a specific temperature to maintain its fluid state and to allow any impurities to rise to the surface, where they are skimmed off. These impurities can include oxides or other unwanted trace elements, which would otherwise compromise the quality and performance of the solder. Once the alloy is clean and uniform, it's time to form it into usable shapes. For wire solder, the molten alloy is cast into billets, large solid metal cylinders, which are then allowed to cool. These billets are then fed into rolling machines, where they are flattened and shaped and eventually drawn through a series of dies to reduce the diameter and form thin wire. This drawing process can be repeated several times, each pass gradually making the wire thinner and longer until it reaches the desired gauge. The wire is then coiled into spools for packaging. In some cases, especially for electronic solder, the wire is also made into a rosin core or Flux-Core variety. During the final stages of wire production, a hollow channel is introduced into the center of the wire, and a flux material, typically a rosin-based chemical, is injected inside. This flux helps clean the metal surfaces during soldering, allowing the solder to flow more easily and form a stronger bond. Solder doesn't only come in wire form, of course. It's also available as bars, pellets, paste, or preformed rings and shapes for industrial applications. Bar solder is typically cast directly from the molten alloy into molds, then cooled and inspected for defects. Paste solder, used in surface mount technology, SMT, is made by finely grinding solder alloy into powder and mixing it with a chemical flux to form a thick, printable paste. This paste is dispensed onto circuit boards before components are placed and reflow soldered in large ovens. Quality control is a huge part of the solder-making process. Manufacturers constantly test their solder for things like melting point, tensile strength, electrical conductivity, and alloy composition. Even slight deviations in the metal ratio can drastically affect performance, for instance, making solder brittle or too soft, affecting how it behaves under stress or heat. Impurities like iron, zinc, or aluminum can make the solder flow poorly or cause it to oxidize rapidly, leading to bad joints. That's why rigorous testing, including chemical analysis and performance evaluation, is essential before the solder is cleared for commercial use. Finally, the finished solder, whether in wire, bar, or paste form, is packaged, labeled, and shipped out to distributors and end users. Some spools will go to big tech manufacturing plants that use robotic arms to place chips on motherboards. Others might end up in hobbyists' toolkits or in the hands of plumbers and metalworkers. Regardless of where it goes, that solder started its life as raw ore dug from the ground and underwent a complex journey of refinement, alloying, and shaping. So the next time you're soldering two wires together or watching someone build a circuit, take a moment to appreciate that humble silver thread. It represents not just a vital part of our connected world, but a fascinating example of how science, engineering, and industry come together to make something simple yet indispensable. That's how solder is made, and that's how our modern world stays connected. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.